Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be talking about This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay, Secret Diaries of a Junior Doctor, and this is Adam Kay's memoir, and he worked 6 years for the NHS from 2004 to 2010 in obstetrics and gynecology. And during this time he had to keep a kind of journal to document what he was up to. And this medical journal is the basis for his memoir, and he just shows the funniest encounters that he had, the encounters or situations that really influenced his life as a doctor or are interesting to the reader, and just his general interactions with patients. And this book is one of the funniest books I've ever read. Adam Kay isn't just a doctor or former doctor, but he's also a comedian and writer for sitcoms, which is why he has timing and building up to punchlines and delivering punchlines down to a T. His writing is snappy, and he had me laughing out loud and snorting multiple times, which is quite a feat because the content or the topics he's writing about aren't actually that funny, but he just delivers all his messages and the things he's talking about in such a sarcastic and dry, ironic way that it's almost easy to forget that he's talking about the horrible life or working conditions that doctors are subjected to in the NHS. And his humor and his delivery of dark matters in a funny way is already illustrated quite well via the back cover, which reads 97-hour weeks, life and death decisions, a constant tsunami of bodily fluids, and the hospital parking meter earns more than you. Welcome to the life of a junior doctor. And the entire book is written in this tone, and I mean, it sounds funny in the first moment till you think about it. 97-hour weeks and just bad compensation or payment. I think he calls it stipends or stipends at some point. Isn't that funny actually? But his delivery is just so charismatic that at times it's quite shocking to realize what you are laughing at. This Is Going to Hurt just nicely illustrates the dark side of the British healthcare system, where patients get care for affordable prices and get good healthcare for affordable prices. But what kind of gets lost is that while the patients are the winners of the system, there have to be losers, and in this case it's the doctors who have to work in these horrible conditions for so little pay. And I don't think this is a problem that is unique to the UK. I think this is something that really counts for all healthcare systems, where the healthcare is affordable and it's very social, which is why I also think that this book isn't just for people living in the UK, but for all people who have a privilege of good healthcare and affordable healthcare. As I was saying, This Is Going to Hurt is one of the funniest books I've read so far, but I also have to note that humor, of course, is something very, very subjective, and something one person might find funny isn't funny for a different person. And due to Adam Kay working in obstetrics and gynecology, of course the humor is at times very sexual, and at other times, and mostly, it's very morbid, which can of course be expected in the case of doctors who are surrounded by life and death every day. So if that isn't your type of humor, this might not be the proper book for you. And just to illustrate what I mean, of course, I'm going to read a passage to you. And there are so many passages I could have chosen just by opening the book at a random point, but I wanted to read a particular one. Okay, let's see whether I can do this without laughing. Wednesday, 16th of November 2005. I glance at the notes before reviewing an elderly gynae patient on the ward round. Good news. Physio have finally been to see her. Bad news. The entry reads, patient too drowsy to assess. I pop in. The patient is dead. So, yeah, if you didn't find that funny, I guess you would have a hard time appreciating the humor. And also, if you have this very romantic notion of childbirth and are hoping for romantic childbirth, I would also not recommend this book, because it really talks about stuff I personally didn't know were possible and things that could go wrong during childbirth, because of course a doctor is only called when things go wrong, so I know about a lot of things now. If you don't have a problem with sexual and morbid humor and aren't put off by childbirth, I think This Is Going to Hurt is the perfect book for when you're in a reading slump or heading towards a reading slump. The writing is nicely paced due to the fact that the diary entries are, can you see this? A couple of paragraphs long, a maximum of 2 to 3 pages, so you just fly through it. The writing is very accessible. As I already read out to you, it's nothing spectacular, it's quick, funny, and just snappy in general. And what's also pretty nice is when Adam Kay talks about medical procedures, he always has footnotes to explain what they are, how medical abnormalities occur, and how they are treated in hospital. So that is quite interesting, and I actually also learned something halfway useful. Going into This Is Going to Hurt, the reader knows that there is some reason why Adam Kay left the medical profession. He was a doctor from 2004 to 2010, and then something happened to make him leave the NHS, and I personally was hoping so badly that it was due to some pay raise issue or him just falling in love with comedy, or kind of a nice-ish ending. But the reason why Adam Kay left his job is actually quite heartbreaking, and I had tears in my eyes when we got to this end part where he explains what his breaking point was. And I think this is kind of one of the strongest points in This Is Going to Hurt, is up to this point you're just flying so high on the humor and on the good atmosphere and Adam Kay's sense of humor and sarcasm, and then it suddenly all changes. There is this breaking point and you're flying high and you just crash down completely, and it emotionally wrecks you kind of to just realize what this system is doing to people, what it is doing to the mental health of doctors, that they just decide to leave their years of training behind them and start over again. And I would really recommend This Is Going to Hurt to everybody, no matter whether you appreciate a dark sense of humor or not, just because everyone can take so much from this book and learn about the reality of doctors in the NHS, or I guess doctors worldwide, and just appreciate more what they are going through, and recognizing that they are not superheroes but just normal people who are fighting an uphill battle when it comes to their working conditions and to their 97-hour weeks. I think this book has deserved still being on top seller lists. When I was in England, they were still showing this book in the non-fiction section as one of their top picks, and this book was published in 2017, so that is quite a feat. I usually ignore the endorsements and blurbs at the front of the book by other authors, famous people. What do we still have here? Newspapers and magazines, because I think they build up the hype for a book way too much and they can only disappoint. But in this case, the blurbs speak the truth. This book was absolutely amazing. It held everything it promised, and I can't praise this book enough and Adam Kay enough for delivering this very, very important message in such an accessible way, and a way that has you laughing but thinking at the same time. So read this book, you won't regret it, and bye.